Welcome back, everyone. We are here again. This is the afternoon of day 5 of the Robert Tellis murder trial. Thank you, everybody who was able to join me. We are hopefully going to get into the rest of or at least some of the rest of the defense witnesses in this particular murder trial. We only heard from the defense just took over today. We've only heard from one witness thus far. That was an expert witness on behalf of the defense. The defense is basically saying, look, we thought that all of our witnesses were going to have to show up later in the week because the prosecution has so many witnesses. So we arranged for the witnesses to be here later in the week. And because the prosecution was able to get through their witnesses so early, we now basically don't have any witnesses to put on. And so they're begging the court's indulgence with respect to that, kind of buying some time, trying to get through some motion practice while people on their staff are likely making calls to all of the witnesses on their list. And this puts the defense in a very precarious position. The court wants to speed things along. Things are progressing at a pretty rapid clip. The prosecution put on some 20 some odd witnesses in a matter of days. And for 4 days, it took them to put on, let's see, it looks like 28 witnesses. So the court wants to continue to move at that fast of a pace. So if the defense has already planned out its case in chief, and they have a certain order with which they want to present these witnesses to the jury just for continuity's sake. But if they're able to get an attorney, get a witness who can testify today, but who was going to go number 8 on their list, the court is going to want that witness to go ahead and testify so that she can get this trial concluded, get rid of the jury, get the jury back home, back to work, doing whatever everybody wants to do or needs to do outside of this trial. So if he's unable to get his witnesses to court in the order that he would like for them to testify, then the continuity of his case is going to be somewhat disrupted. So at this point, he's in a bad position. He's probably trying to fill in the gaps with motion practice, sidebars, whatever he can fill in the gaps with so that he can retain as much continuity with respect to presentation of his witnesses, presentation of his evidence, presentation of his case as possible. So I don't know if the witness that we saw, the expert witness that we saw earlier today, was necessarily going to be his first witness. That was Dr. Mark Chambers. It's likely that it was. That particular witness said that he testifies in cases throughout the country. So he may be from out of town. So it may be good that he has gone, because that means now he can go back to where he's from, and the defense doesn't have to continue putting him up in a hotel bearing that expense. So perhaps he was first on the list. But these other witnesses that the defense has, there may come a point in this when the defense is unable to proceed. And if that happens, it's going to be interesting to see how the court deals with that. But the court hasn't yet started. I do see Natalie's joined us, and Jeff, good to see both of you. Pinellas County elections today. And you went and voted for judges you've never heard of. Well, I'm glad that you voted. At least we got to the polls. But yeah, sometimes, Jeff, I vote for judges I've never heard of. So I get it. In those cases, actually, I typically look at the Tampa Bay Times, I believe it's called. So I'm not in Tampa, but I usually look at the Tampa newspapers and see who they've endorsed for judge, because they actually put out endorsements for judges down here in Broward and in Miami-Dade County, and they give a pretty good analysis. They usually interview everybody who's running for judge, and they give a pretty good analysis of their background, their everything that they've done, and whether or not they recommend them, whether or not they endorse them, based on those interviews and things of that nature. So I do typically turn to them when I don't know who the judge is, but I usually get that pre-ballot. So I have a chance to look everybody up, perhaps go out to meet them at one of their events before I actually cast my vote. Yes, and it is very important to vote. But getting back to this trial, Dr. Mark Chambers came in. He told us he's a clinical and forensic psychologist, and he testifies on a smattering of things throughout cases throughout the country. In this particular case, he was called to testify. He was asked to opine on suicide attempts with respect to people charged with crimes. And with respect to that, the defense was kind of calling him to say, essentially, look, jury, just because Robert Tellis was stuck in a bathtub, inflicting harm on himself or threatening to inflict harm on himself, just because he had to be talked down from the ledge for several hours by Detective Jappy, doesn't mean that he had a guilty conscience. That's essentially what the defense was trying to get out of this witness. Journal article or something of that nature that expressly looked into that. But the prosecution kind of turned that on its head and was able to undermine pretty much everything the expert said. So I don't think that this was the best witness for the defense. Let's see what they've got for us now. It looks like we're getting started, so here we go.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
Tracy Torres McLaurin.
Please watch your step. And if you'll remain standing, raise your right hand and face the clerk, please.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You may be seated. Please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
TRACYMIGLIORE.
Thank you. Ma'am, you also go by, is it McGlory?
Just go by McGlory, yes.
Okay. Turning your attention back to September of 2022, did you see something on TV that caused you to call the police?
Yes.
Do you recall what the circumstances were and what you saw on TV that caused you to call police?
The description of the person I seen in the park, what they were wearing stood out.
Okay. Now, did you see video on TV concerning a crime in reference to a journalist, and you saw clips of that, and you said, I recognize that person?
Yes,
If I may turn your attention, and for the record, this is State's Exhibit 338. This is the press release that was released on September 5th, 2022. It's not playing. Can you see that?
yes,
Was that the clip that you had seen on TV?
yes,
And as a result of seeing this clip, did you call the police?
yes,
Now, you had testified, get this to stop, that you had seen something that gave rise to concern because you had seen this individual previously.
that's correct.
Where was it that you saw what you believed was this individual?
At Bruce Trent Park?
Bruce Trent Park?
Yes,
That's in Clark County, Nevada.
yes,
Is Bruce Trent Park off of Vegas Drive in Rampart?
that's correct.
When did you see this individual?
It was about 4:30 in the evening.
Okay, and what date do you recall?
It was on the 28th of August.
So that would have been a Sunday,
That's correct.
and about 4:30.
Yes,
I'm going to show you what, if we could have marked as defense exhibit Y2. And this will be admitted by stipulation?
Sure.
I'm going to show you, and if I could get the Elmo up. Is this right here, Bruce Trent Park? I
Yes.
showed you this prior to your testimony.
yes, you did, yeah.
And that's the park you were at?
That's correct.
Now, is this a Summerlin Park? Is there like a soccer park complex there?
Yes, I believe there's for softball and maybe ice skating, I'm not sure,
Okay.
just other things.
So when you saw this person, it was Sunday, August 28th, 2022, was it warm outside?
Very warm. Again.
And anything catch your attention concerning this individual that you saw?
Yes, yes.
What did you see, please?
I seen somebody that was fully covered from head to toe and wearing black gloves. Yes,
Did this individual have tennis shoes on?
yes,
You have to speak up.
yes, yes,
Did this individual have a straw hat on like the one that we saw in that clip?
yes, sir.
And where did you see this person at this Bruce Trent Park?
I seen him walking across the children's play area,
Okay.
and I seen him enter the men's restroom.
If I could have what's going to be marked and admitted by stipulation, defense exhibit.
C2.
Z2.
No objection. It's admitted.
Is this the bathroom in this Bruce Trent Park?
Yes, sir.
How long was this person around this bathroom?
He went in and then he went out, came out, and then he went back in.
And you say he, how do you know that it was a male versus a female?
I can tell by the way he walked.
Okay. Did you interact with this person, speak
No.
to this person?
No, I did not.
Were you concerned regarding the way this person looked in reference to your grandchildren or those that you were with?
Yes, I was very concerned for the children in the park.
Now, you didn't call the police on August 28th, this Sunday, when you saw this person.
No, I did not.
But you called the police after you saw this person again on September 5th for this release. It was a Metro press release concerning a suspect.
Yes, I saw it.
And did you call and give the same?
Objection to the last question. When you saw this individual again, assumes, despite the evidence not saying it, that it was the same individual that she saw that was on that footage. But I also want to draw everybody's attention to the fact that our first witness was a psychologist who often opines, he said, on what did he say? Provides context as to how witnesses may misremember things. So this individual is saying that she saw some individual at the park on August 28th. The video of the suspect was not released until September 5th. So about a week later. And when she sees the video of the suspect, that toggles her memory back to 7 days prior, August 28th, 7, 8, I don't know, somewhere around there, days prior to August 28th, when she saw an individual wearing similar clothing at the park. Now, I don't know if you all have ever dealt with witness memory issues, but oftentimes when we see new information that reminds us of something in the past, the thing in the past often takes on the reality of what we're seeing now. So we remember the thing in the past as if it was exactly like what we're looking at now. And that's often not the case. But if you'll think back, if you all have siblings, to what your sibling looked like without pictures, just go back to a memory of you with one of your siblings. Your sibling does not look the same to you in your memory as your sibling looked to you when you were there as a child. You're probably picturing your sibling many years older than the time that you actually had the encounter with your sibling. It's a similar type of thing with respect to witnesses on the stand. But let's continue with her testimony.
Same description, these same concerns when you called, and let me ask you this, it was on September 7th, wasn't it, that you called?
Yes.
Were you ever interviewed by any detectives or any police officers?
It was September 7th when she called. So she probably didn't even see it on September 5th. We are increasing the number of days between August 28th and when she saw this person who, according to the defense attorney, was the same person she saw in the park.
Officers in reference to this person that you saw.
No.
Did this person also have a bag?
Yes.
Do you recall what type of bag this person had?
A duffel bag.
A duffel bag. Do you recall the color?
It was black.
A black duffel bag.
Yes.
Was this person's face covered
Yes.
with gloves?
With gloves.
Yes, I'm asking you, this person have gloves?
Oh, he had gloves on, but his face was covered with a mask.
Okay.
You know, like a COVID mask.
And you were able on August 28th to get a good look of this person's getup?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
You got a good view of this person?
Yes.
You were close enough. About how far were you from me to you, farther? What was your vantage point?
Probably where the officer is at the back door.
Okay. Good 30 feet?
Yes.
Thank you.
At one point, I was that far. He was that far from me, but as he went into the men's restroom, I was closer. I could see him a lot closer.
You never spoke to him?
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi.
Let's talk about, this is Defense Exhibit 22. I think you just said that you, at one point, were about 30, oh.
For the record, that's
ZZ, thank you. I believe you said at one point you were like 30 feet from this individual?
Yes.
And so can you, there's a mouse in front of you. Do you see that on the table?
Okay.
Are you able to kind of indicate where you were and where that person was?
So, if I may ask, is the right side the women's bathroom and the left side is the men's restroom?
So I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to give you
Okay.
answers, but maybe you could just point out where you were?
Okay, I was actually, I'm gonna say it was about, kind of like back over here.
Okay, so in the image, sort of the lower right corner in that sand area?
Mhm.
Is that yes? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
please.
And the individual was closer, I assume, to the structure?
Yes,
And which side of the structure was the individual on?
on the men's side,
Okay, and whatever side that is?
yes.
And do you recall now which side that was?
I'm trying to identify the park because I've been to this park several times. And I'm trying to identify what side
Oh,
the men's
okay.
restroom is on. It's not
Okay.
really clear, you know?
Okay, so you can't, I mean,
It's hard to tell.
you've been to that park, but you can't tell by this photo where you were? Or which side, I guess, is the men's side, if I'm understanding you?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's way far over here is the men's side.
Okay, so then to the other side of the picture.
Yes,
And then you're, as I understood you, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were more in the sand area in the lower right part of the picture?
yes. Mhm.
Okay, and so did that distance ever get closer?
Yes, because he walked across the children's playground area to the men's restroom.
Okay, so.
So I
and
seen him from far away, and
Okay.
it concerned me when I first saw him, but then when he walked across the playground to the men's restroom, that concerned me even more.
Okay. Now, the person that you saw, you assume male because of how the person walked?
Yes,
How tall was the person?
I'd say about 5'9", 5'8", 5'9".
5'8" or 5'9"? And we said that you believe the person was male. It sounds like the person had gloves on, and then I think I heard you say a face covering as well?
Yes.
So I would assume you don't know what that person's face looks like.
Well, I seen his face when he was running,
Okay,
so.
tell me about that.
So when I left the park with my granddaughter, I went around the corner up Durango.
Uh-huh,
Let's see. So there's Rampart, and then there's another side, which is Durango.
okay.
So I went up Durango towards West Cliff, I believe it is.
Mhm.
And I seen him running up, running towards another park that's down the other way. But as he was running, his hat was coming off, and his hoodie was coming off, and he didn't have his face mask on.
Okay.
But he looked like a light-skinned male bald.
Light-skinned male bald.
Yeah.
And you said there was a hoodie as well?
That's correct.
What color was that hoodie?
I believe it was a dark gray.
Dark gray?
Yeah.
And then the build of the person, would you say heavy build, medium build,
Thin.
thin?
Yeah.
And when you see his face, how far away are you at that point?
Well, I'm driving, and he's running on the sidewalk. So
Okay.
I'd say about maybe 30 feet.
Okay, 30 feet?
Maybe less. I don't know.
Was your car actually moving?
Yes, it was moving.
Okay, so you're in kind of a moving car and then you observe him the second
I
time?
was going slow, yes.
Yeah.
Just to see, yeah.
Okay, and the person, as I understand it, caused you concern, but you didn't really see the person do anything except run and kind of walk across the children's playground?
Yes.
Okay, and when you saw the individual in the park when you weren't in your car, the person had gloves on
Yes.
and then tennis shoes?
Correct.
And walked, I guess, looking at this exhibit, is the children's park to the right side?
It's just depending on what street you're on. If you're on Vegas, you're looking at the splash pad and the men's restroom. If you're
Okay.
on Rampart, you're going to be looking at the actual whole playground,
Uh-huh,
and you'll see the side of the women's bathroom.
okay. And does this exhibit that we have in front of you, does that not give you enough detail to be able to orient on where that playground might be?
No, it doesn't give me enough detail,
Okay,
because then it's kind of hard to determine my distance,
sure,
especially because we were at the splash pad at one point,
okay,
and we walked away from the splash pad because of that.
okay. And then when you saw the person near the men's restroom, the individual walked in and walked out?
Yes,
How long was the person in the restroom?
just for a second.
A second?
Walked in, yeah. I'd say maybe like 5 seconds and then walked out.
Okay, and you see all this on August the 28th?
That's correct.
And obviously, nothing about it on August the 28th caused you concern, right? I mean, to call the police, I should say.
It did, but I think I was just trying to process it because I was a little creeped out by it,
Okay,
you know?
and what made you, like, when you say like creeped out on August the 28th?
It didn't look right. Something looked very eerie about the whole thing.
Okay.
Especially the way he was moving his hands.
And-
That frightened me, and especially because the children were, there was a lot of kids at the playground that day.
Okay, so you were concerned about this person like immediately when you saw him on August the 28th?
Yes,
And then you get in the car with the children that are with you, and then you see him again running?
yes.
What was he doing that caused you concern when he was running?
I don't know. I think it was just seeing him walking the way he did and then seeing him running. It made me think something happened or something was happening. I didn't know. I was more concerned he was going to go to another park. And I don't know. I was scared for the kids, that's all.
You were scared for the kids. Did you ever see him interact with the kid?
No, nothing at all.
And when you say like you were concerned about the way he was walking, what about that caused you concern?
Something just didn't look right about it.
Okay, and was it like because the person was walking fast or slow or?
Well, first of all, he was completely covered with gloves on in the heat that way.
Mhm.
He didn't look like a homeless man.
Sure,
So that's what caught my
clothing.
attention. It caught my attention, yes.
okay.
Yeah.
And so were you, based on what you saw on August the 28th, did you think about calling the police and reporting this person?
No, it didn't dawn on me just yet what was going on. I kind of like just let it be. I know I wasn't really thinking something was going to happen, you know.
Okay, and so
Yeah.
it's sometime after that that you see the public information video sent out by Metro?
Yes,
Do you remember what date you saw that?
I believe it was the 7th.
The 7th of September?
I believe so.
Okay, so
Check.
what do you have up there?
Oh, I'm sorry. It was just my notes of the date.
Oh,
Of the date.
May I
I'm
have
sorry.
a copy of those, please, Your Honor?
Thank you.
You're not allowed to just go up, take the witness stand and just pull miscellaneous items out of your bag or your pocket and refer to them. Anybody could have given her notes to make up her testimony. So, of course, the prosecution and the defense want to see what notes she has. They're probably going to ask questions as to when did you make these notes? When did you make this written record? And if you need this written record to recall what you saw on that day, on August 28th of 2022, if you need these written notes, well, and you created them sometime after the fact, sometime like in preparation for this testimony, well, what was jogging your memory in the 10 days in between when you saw this individual and when you called the police? If you need notes now and you did, and why wouldn't you have needed notes then? And if you didn't have notes then are you sure you're recalling what you think you were recalling? So all of that is, she should not have pulled that out. The defense should have done something to let her know she can't have notes on the stand.
You're welcome.
Can I just take these up while I'm doing cross, and then I'll give them back to
No
you?
worries. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So these notes that you gave me on this piece of paper, did you type these?
Actually, my husband did.
Okay.
But
It was sort of based on what you're
it
saying?
was based on the police report that I made, yes. Based on the police report that I made.
Okay,
Yeah.
so at some point, it looks like on your notes, it says Wednesday, 9/7 at 7:43 PM.
Okay.
Is that the date you
That's the
called the
date,
police?
yes, uh-huh.
Okay, and so you reported, you saw something on TV and then you make the report after that?
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
and then did your husband just write these in order for you to keep your memory to sort of, I guess?
Just to help me, because it was, 2022, so.
Yeah.
It was a little foggy from that. point,
Okay,
yeah.
and then, so did you kind of, it seems like you explained exactly what you just testified to
Yes.
this afternoon?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, and then after you made your report of the sighting to the police, it's my understanding that you weren't talked to?
No,
Okay, and did you ever make like any kind of follow-up call?
no,
Did you ever see this person in the area of that park again?
no, I hadn't gone back to that park for a long time,
Okay,
yeah.
not just at the park, but anywhere? Had you ever seen the person
Never,
again?
no.
Never? Okay, so the one time you see this person is on August the 28th?
That's correct.
And how long total time do you think you had to observe the person?
About 30 minutes.
Okay, so
Possibly.
quite a bit of time.
In between that time, yeah. It was in between that time of 30 minutes. Because I had to have my granddaughter home at 5.
Okay,
So we were kind of rushing, trying to play and get her home,
yeah.
so.
Did you think because of the outfit, the person might have been a worker or a groundskeeper, or
It did not look like that at all.
because the outfit looked different than that to you, or?
He looked very peculiar. I don't know.
Peculiar?
Yeah,
Okay.
just,
Was there reflection
Something didn't
on
seem
the
right.
clothing? Was the clothing reflective?
no,
There was no reflective
No.
clothing on at all? Okay. And then just sort of the hat that you described?
yes. And something just didn't seem right because that hoodie was very tight on his face.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's a hoodie and then a hat on top of that?
Yes,
Okay. And that hoodie, I think you described as sort of darker color?
yes,
And then you see that when he's running and the hat comes up a little bit?
yeah.
Okay.
It was coming off.
Okay,
as he was running.
just 1 sec, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I approach? I'd like to return her notes to her.
Sure, do you want to mark it with for the record?
If that's okay with the witness and counsel, that's fine.
Do you mind if we mark it, make it part of the record, or do you want a copy of it?
I don't mind.
Okay, so just
We have
court's
no
exhibit.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, court's exhibit
May I
next
approach?
time. May.
It's gonna be court exhibit number 16.
Very unlikely that this witness is making up what she's
I have no further questions. Thank you for your testimony.
making up her testimony.
Just make sure. Thank you very much for your testimony here today. You may
Very likely that she is misremembering at least parts of it.
call your next witness.
Your Honor, the second witness we were gonna call, Ms. Loftus, had a flight delay. It's the way things work out. She was coming early, there's a flight delay. She's not gonna be here until late this afternoon. We anticipate calling her in the morning. And there's another issue concerning a witness that I believe that we were going to address at the
Sure.
present
Sure.
time.
Can I just have the attorneys approach just so we can decide the time tomorrow?
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like we're going to be stopping here pretty soon. Let's see. Yep. All right, folks. It is game over for today. So the defense was able to call 2 witnesses today, at which point they ran out of witnesses to call because of flight issues and things of that nature. It looks like the court is giving the defense some leeway here that the court would not have given the prosecution. And that's because the prosecution goes first. They should know exactly when their witnesses need to be there. They do this all the time. It's a little more difficult when you're going second and you don't know exactly when the other side is going to rest. So the court is granting some leeway here, which is good. It does mean we get to leave a little early, but as I was saying, this last witness, very unlikely she's making this up. There was somebody in the park with clothing on that looked similar to whatever the assailant was wearing. How close it matched to the assailant, probably we'll never know. The best thing that the prosecution got out of that witness on cross-examination was that there was nothing reflective on the clothing. And that, coupled with the fact that this woman got to see this individual for a half hour, that according to her testimony, 30 minutes that she's watching this guy, and she doesn't notice any reflective substance, anything reflective on the clothing. If you were paying attention to any of the news articles, any of the reporting surrounding this case, you'll know that the attire that the assailant wore was very common. It was very common for construction workers to wear similar attire. So when the prosecution asked, do you think this person was a groundskeeper or something of that nature? Apparently, I've never tested this, you stay cooler when it's real hot if you put on a bunch of clothes. So construction workers are apparently putting on a whole lot of clothing in order to retain their internal temperature, because we can naturally regulate our body temperature and we can stay cooler than being exposed to direct sunlight when it's 115 degrees outside, as it has been on many days in Las Vegas. So there's all these people running around the city who are similarly clothed. And apparently the defense is trying to say there was one of these people at the park 10 days before this incident took place. That individual was not tied to a red Yukon Denali. That individual was not tied to any criminal activity whatsoever. That individual was not tied in any way to this case. That individual did not have on reflective clothing as the assailant in this particular case did. But according to the defense attorney, the individual in the park 10 days before this person reported it to the police is the same individual that killed Mr. Gehrman. Is that enough for reasonable doubt that there was somebody in the park on August 28th, 2022 that was clothed similarly to the assailant? Or does it make more sense that the assailant decided in advance, when the assailant was plotting out this crime, to wear attire that matched a whole bunch of people's clothes in Las Vegas, Nevada? Does it make more sense for the exact person who committed this crime to have appeared in this park days before the crime took place? Or does it make more sense for that person and the assailant and the hundreds of construction workers who apparently wear similar clothing to all have been just wearing similar clothing, and the assailant made the conscious choice to wear that so that he could blend in? Which makes more sense in the minds of the jury? I don't think that this testimony brings reasonable doubt, adds to reasonable doubt. I think if I'm on the jury, I throw away all this testimony. this entire witness, I throw away everything that she said. I don't think if I'm on this jury, anything she said changes anything that the prosecution presented. I don't think it adds to it. I don't think it subtracts from it. I don't think it does anything. I think that her testimony has absolutely no place here. There is no evidentiary purpose for her testimony if I'm on the jury. But that's just this attorney's take. Come to your own conclusions. But we're now through defense witness number 2. I hope that he can pick up the pace, because I was expecting that this trial wouldn't take as long, just based on the pace that the prosecution was setting. And I'm hoping that we can keep that pace so that we can cut down on the number of days that the prosecution and the defense allotted and the court allotted for this entire case. Again, they allotted 10 to 15 days. That would put us into next Friday if we went to the 15-day mark. I think that the defense can be done by the end of this week. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be able to be done by the end of this week, but that's only if they can get their witnesses into the courtroom. And I don't know how far the judge's leeway is going to extend. I don't know how long she's going to allow them to say, look, my witnesses aren't available. They are under a subpoena. And if he filled out those subpoenas correctly, then he put a date range on the subpoena, and they have to be ready for whatever day he decides you have to show up in court, and they can be compelled to come. So there's no legal reason why they should not be compelled to come and why this case should not proceed. But as the court is done, we are going to be able to take the rest of the evening off and spend some time with our families or catching up on the work that we have been putting off because we've been paying such close attention to this trial. So I hope that you all will join me back here again tomorrow and for what the court will be the AM session, so that we can continue with this murder trial and finally find out once and for all whether Mr. Tellis is going to testify in this case. I do appreciate all of you joining me. Thank you so much. Thank you for leaving comments. Thank you for hitting that like button. And I do hope that you all come back tomorrow. But for now, my name is Nathan Saunders, and this is The Legal Good.